Assalamu alaikum. I'm really honored and humbled to be here tonight and to be a part of the 16-day campaign against gender-based violence and to follow up phenomenal poets like we've had tonight. This piece was originally written by myself and two close friends, but what I decided to do is open it up and invite women to add to it, to contribute and also speak their piece. And the result was that this poem is now a compilation of various voices of women from all different walks of life. Some are students, some are teachers, some are mentors and poets and activists. And these voices represent Algeria, America, Ethiopia, Somalia, Sudan, Mexico. So I present to you, you have reached the woman. You have reached the woman who keeps her eyes wide open, her pain closed tight against pessimistic winds, so she can release them in remembrance deep in the night. You have reached the woman who was never told why she was brought up in North America rather than North Africa, why she could not be African, nor Arab, nor American, but everyone by different ones. You have reached the woman who asked too many questions for her own good, got too educated and too careered, and too into her own dreams, which are sunflower bright ones. You have reached Muna. You have reached the woman who believes life is good no matter what, because it is up to us to create our own peace and happiness. You have reached the woman who does not ask God for things that she would like to have, but thanks God for all that she has at this specific time in her life, with good understanding that what's here today may be gone tomorrow. You have reached Mariana. You have reached the woman who is a mother trying to raise a woman who will stand up for justice and truth, even if it is against herself, her loved ones, her community, her nation. She will stand up for what's right, who will be successful, not by making millions at the cost of others, but by being capable, confident, content, ambitious, and determined, who will fix things wrong with this world, whether she does so with her voice or with her hands, who will find her passions and create, pray, love, dance, live, believe, laugh, breathe, swim, write, sing, hope, wish, and achieve. You have reached the woman who wishes her daughter will be the change she wishes to see in this world, who will mend the wounds of those who cry and sew the holes of society. You have reached Sumaya. You have reached the woman who believes in the importance of family and friendship, whose experience helped define her existence, without regrets of what was and without fear of what will be. You've reached the woman who refuses to fit into the mold, refuses to give into the expectations of the person she's supposed to be, instead of being the person she desires to be. You've reached the woman who's outraged by the constant exploitation and killings of our people and our land in the name of liberation. You've reached a woman whom passion drives her, compassion humbles her, and faith solidifies her. You've reached Wala. You've reached the woman whose words are not buried beneath her tongue, who crafts metaphors and similes like she tends to the garment of her inner untouched soul, that place she can call her own. You've reached the woman who has dared to stop and take stock. You have reached the woman who realizes the images in the broken mirror are not hers. You have reached Batsirai. You have reached the woman who understands that happiness cannot be bought, traveled to, owned, earned, worn, or consumed, who defines happiness as a spiritual experience of living every minute with love, kindness, grace, and gratitude. You've reached Nasim. You've reached the woman who's first and foremost Muslim, African, Ethiopian Harare, who hates the sound of unused running water, seeing the sight of an empty lit room, seeing food turned into trash. You've reached the woman who can keep her feet on the ground and still reach for the stars. You've reached Nebila. You've reached the woman who loves to learn but is still counting the days till summer, who longs for peace but finds truth in famine, who dreams in life, breathes in colors, dwells in languages. You've reached the woman who writes backwards and walks forwards. You've reached Agazit. You've reached the woman who speaks English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Swahili, whose native tongue is poetry, who runs wild in the global streets but is as Berkeley as she can be, who believes in nonviolent social change, who believes in non-violent social change, who cuts up the plastic ringlets on six-packs so that wildlife does not die. You've reached the woman whose country is the earth, whose favorite book is her passport. You've reached Cassandra. You've reached the woman who will continue to rise, who will stand tall regardless of how many times they fall. You've reached the women who embrace their sons, their brothers, their fathers, just as they will embrace their daughters, their sisters, their mothers. You've reached the woman who will not ask you, who are you to be brilliant, talented, gorgeous, handsome, or fabulous? Rather, you have reached the woman who will ask you, who are you not to be? You've reached the woman who share the belief that impossible is nothing. Nothing but a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in a world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. You've reached the woman who reminds you of Audre Lorde. Poetry, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And your silence, it will not protect you. You've reached the woman who genuflect to the power of language, whose swords are ballpoint, felted, and fountain, who believe that revolutions, they don't get televised, they get poeticized, ripped, and spit at open mics. So let us now leave you to perform floetically in the language of your truth, translating if you choose. So please, speak your piece after the beat. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you understand?